Hey YouTube family, welcome to 2A in LA. So, when I started this channel, I think I told you guys that I wanted this to be a place sometimes where we could just come and we could just talk. It didn't have to be about, a gun collection or a gun review or some kind of product review. I wanted this to be a place where people felt safe to come, comment, talk about views of the day without fear of being judged or anything like that. And so if I'm going to ask that of you guys, then I have to give that myself. If I want that kind of open and honest dialogue, then sometimes I feel like I need to sit down and give that to you. And so I wanted to talk about some of the issues that I see as someone who I would say is left-leaning politically in the 2A community, of which I consider myself a part. I mean, the name of the channel is 2A in LA. It's because I am very much in favor of Second Amendment rights and the rights to bear arms. That said, as a relatively new member of the community, as I've told you guys, I've only been in the guns now for about a year, but I have immersed myself in the culture, and feel like I've gained so much by watching all of these phenomenal YouTubers, many of which I talked about in my first couple of episodes. And I'm going to talk about some more people that have inspired me here. But even the people that have inspired me and have helped to educate me, they're guilty of this. And it's not just them, it's not just the 2A community, it's the country as a whole. It's this right versus left, conservative versus liberal, Democrat versus Republican. This environment that has been ginned up and churned up by the media and politicians, this us versus them thing, it really doesn't exist. We're all Americans, and I think the things that we have in common far outweigh our differences. And I bring this up because I've watched a lot of 2A people who I really respect, who I think are great, make comments that to me are disturbing. When they do like a gun review, or they're talking about gun safety or tactical things or reviewing a product, they're phenomenal. They're great. They're whatever. They're the best. It's when things get more personal, when things that they have any more of an emotional tie to come into play, that I think they lose perspective. They lose sight of things. I think this country, we're all really in need of two things right now. I think we're in need of self-awareness, and we're in need of empathy. I think those are the two things that are critically missing in today's society, and we need to find those things. There's a channel, Warrior Poet Society, and it's run by a former veteran, John, I think Laval is his last name, Lavelle. He's phenomenal. I mean, this channel is amazing. The quality of the production is through the roof. His knowledge base and all the things that he teaches when it comes to guns, whether it's individual weapons, whether it's tactically how to do things, whether it's, teaching you how to shoot better, and he covers all these things and more. It's outstanding, just outstanding, right? And so I watch most of his stuff, and he puts out a lot of content. And so I was watching him the other day, and he decided to have kind of like a fireside chat, kind of like what I'm doing now, where he just talked. And he was talking about some of the things that he was seeing in our society and some of the things, the direction kind of he felt we needed to go in. And in this process, he somehow the football players, NFL came up, and he starts saying this stuff like, oh, if you go woke, you go broke. And he was pleased that NFL ratings and dollars generated were down, and he somehow correlated that to NFL players taking a knee. And then he went on to say, oh, the NFL players, they're taking a knee because they don't love the country. Really? Really? Think NFL players took a knee because they don't love the country? And it's not just John, it's a lot of people that I respect. When things get emotional, when things start getting a little too close to home, they start saying these things. Oh, it's the lefties that, whoa, 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 and their lefties are ruining the left and the left and the left and the left. Okay, first off, there are millions and millions and millions and millions of new gun owners, of which I'm one. A lot of these new gun owners are on the left. So when you start talking that way, just know that you are eliminating and isolating a significant part of your constituency. In my opinion, Second Amendment rights has nothing to do with the right or the left. It's all about our constitutional rights. That should not be a left or right issue. And just because, the Democrats, in my opinion, happen to be on the wrong side of this argument, the Republicans are on the wrong side of plenty of arguments too. So let's come down off our soapbox. Let's stop acting like both sides don't have flaws and scars, and let's be self-aware. Let's be self-aware. Both sides love this country. Both sides want to do the best that they can. And when I say both sides, I'm not talking about the politicians, and I'm not talking about the media. I'm talking about the people. The people. Both sides love the country. Both sides want to do the best they can. We agree on a lot of things, and we disagree on some. And the things that we agree on are probably far greater than the things that we disagree on. And when it comes to the things we disagree on, let's stop isolating. Let's stop yelling, and let's talk. I feel like there's a fence between left and right, conservative and liberal, Republican and Democrat. There's a big fence, and it's right in front of us, and neither side can see the other side because this fence is blocking us, and all we're doing is hollering at each other over the fence. And I feel like the fence is the politicians and the media. And that's not to say all media is bad, and it's not saying that all politicians are bad, but they've got their motivations. And oftentimes I feel like it's the people that get lost in it. Everybody wants to win, and nobody is listening. The other thing is nobody's putting themselves in the other person's shoes. That's empathy, being empathetic towards your fellow man. And the things that may be affecting them may not be the things that are affecting you, but you still having the ability to have empathy for what they're going through. Since John brought up the NFL, there's Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, I'm sure everybody knows that name by now. He got tired, and he was concerned, and he was conflicted, and he didn't know what to do about these unarmed black people that were seemingly getting killed every other day by police. And so he had trouble where he would normally stand up with pride when the Star Spangled Banner came on, he was troubled by it because all this other stuff was going on in the country, and he didn't know. He didn't know. And so he sat down. He didn't put up a black fist. He didn't make a bunch of noise. He just went and sat down on the bench. And he did it for games without any attention. And then finally a reporter noticed and said, "Hey, Colin, why aren't you standing for the national anthem?" And he told them, I don't know what to do. I'm upset. I keep seeing all these unarmed people being killed by the police, and it doesn't sit right with me, and I don't know what to do. So I'm just sitting. And he told that to the reporter, and you know what the story was the next day? He hates America. He hates the troops. Really? That's what you heard? He hates America. He hates the troops. So we happened to run into a current NFL player who happened to be a former military veteran. He said, "Look, Colin, I understand what you're saying, but people are taking it the wrong way. When I served, anytime there was a fallen soldier, we would take a knee. And hey, man, maybe if you took a knee, it would be your way of showing respect and honor for the troops and their sacrifices, but at the same time raise attention to your concerns." And Colin, having empathy for how the troops might feel, did that. He took a knee. And you know what they said? "You hate the country. You hate the troops." Because they didn't have empathy for what he was going through. They were more concerned that he was taking a knee than why he was taking the knee. Sean Ryan hosts a show called Vigilance Elite, another just dynamic YouTube channel. Former Navy SEAL, super smart, has tremendous guests, has found obviously a second calling after years of service because he is bringing these tremendous people on, and he has the ability to relate to them and talk to them in such a way that I just feel, blessed and fortunate that I get to watch his channel and I get to learn about these incredible people. Anyway, he had an episode where it was, and I forget the title of the episode, but if I can find it, I'll, put it down and put a link down in the description if I even post this. He had this episode, and it was something like liberal versus a Navy SEAL. And they were talking about what I'm talking about. They were talking about kind of the Black Lives Matter movement. They were talking about George Floyd. They were talking about, the police and these killings that have been going on and all of this. And it didn't have, what was remarkable about the show was that neither one of them said anything that was incredibly enlightening. They didn't offer any perspective that I haven't heard 1,000 times before from both sides of the aisle. What was incredible about the show was the fact that they talked. They just talked. I don't know if the liberal guy on the show was a friend of Sean's, but I certainly got the sense that they could be buddies, and if not buddies, certainly had a mutual respect for one another. And because of that, there wasn't this animosity and this ugliness that I see so much now. They were just two guys sitting down, trying to figure stuff out, listening to one another, being thoughtful about what was being told to them and being thoughtful about how they responded. And at the end of the day, I don't think the liberal changed Sean's mind or Sean changed the liberal's mind, but I think they heard one another. I think they were self-aware enough to acknowledge that both sides made good points. And I think they were empathetic enough to one another where they walked away probably feeling like they had a better understanding of one another. And that's what we need. We're not going to agree on everything. Who agrees on everything? You don't agree with everything your wife says, or your husband says, or your parents say, or your siblings say, or your friends say, but you still love them. You still love them. We need to love each other even when we disagree. And that's what we're not getting right now. If we could do that, if we could be more self-aware that we're flawed, that our logic is sometimes flawed, that we're flawed as people, and we could be more empathetic towards other people who don't think the way that we do. I don't know. Maybe we can make America great again. Anyway, guys, take care. Peace. 2A in LA. Be good to one another.